Ever wonder what secrets Greta Garbo kept hidden behind her enigmatic smile? Well, there's one romance that left Hollywood buzzing and fans speechless, but it was kept under wraps for years. Greta Garbo, the legendary star known for her mysterious allure and unforgettable performances, lived a life full of intrigue. But one romance in particular has remained shrouded in mystery, even as Garbo became an icon of old Hollywood. In this video, we're diving deep into Greta's secret love affair, an affair so private that it stunned even her closest friends. Stick around as we uncover the hidden details that Hollywood tried to bury. Greta Garbo was the epitome of mystery and elegance, both on and off the screen. From the very start of her career, she shied away from the spotlight, refusing to attend social events and opting for quiet solitude or time spent with a select few friends. She was notorious for avoiding interviews, never signing autographs, and even ignoring fan mail. The glitzy world of Hollywood and its demands for publicity seemed to frustrate her, yet it was an essential part of the industry she found herself in. Garbo didn't even attend the Oscar ceremonies despite being nominated. Her disdain for attention was that strong. In a 1928 interview, she shared how she had always longed for solitude, a need that dated back to her childhood. She once wrote to a friend, "I've always had mood swings. I dislike having to deal with a lot of people. I go nowhere, see no one." Even though she acknowledged the stress and sadness of being alone, Garbo also mentioned that being around others could sometimes be even more exhausting. It was this push and pull of needing space, yet struggling with loneliness, that made her both relatable and enigmatic. Garbo's reclusive nature and her constant battle with Hollywood's media expectations led her to clash frequently with MGM executives. She preferred to remain in the shadows, refusing to embrace the fame that came with her talent. The media, however, dubbed her the Swedish Sphinx, and her refusal to conform only added to her mystique. This mysterious aura only worked in her favor, enhancing the allure of the silent, reclusive woman. Despite all her efforts to remain under the radar, Garbo became one of the most publicized women of the 20th century, an irony not lost on her, considering how much she loathed the spotlight. In her later years, Garbo retreated even further from the public eye, living a life of simplicity and leisure. She kept only a few close friends, including her maid, and made no public appearances. However, contrary to the myth of her total isolation, Garbo had friends and acquaintances she socialized with throughout her life, though she remained very cautious about who she trusted. Some biographers have even suggested she could have been bipolar, given her extreme mood shifts. But one thing was clear: Garbo valued her privacy above all else. Garbo was also a savvy businesswoman, making wise investments in stocks, bonds, and other ventures during her lifetime. She firmly believed that owning a permanent home was a burden, viewing possessions as something that tied people down. "Don't let anything be a noose around your head," she often advised, and this philosophy extended to her way of living, constantly on the move, renting homes or staying in hotels rather than settling down. But it wasn't just her personality that set her apart. Her style was equally iconic. Known for her gender-fluid fashion, Garbo seamlessly blended masculine and feminine elements. From the sharp, tailored clothes to her signature slouch hat and sunglasses, Garbo exuded an effortlessly chic, almost androgynous vibe. Her fashion was the embodiment of the Art Deco era, making her a trendsetter in her time. And her makeup? Simple, yet striking. Garbo accentuated her stunning blue eyes with petroleum jelly and charcoal, enhancing her natural beauty in a way that was both subtle and daring. Whispers of an affair between Greta Garbo and Marlene Dietrich have long circulated in Hollywood, but the two stars kept it carefully hidden. Though both were legends of the silver screen, they maintained a public front of never having met, while behind closed doors, the truth was much more tantalizing. Their rumored romance was one of Hollywood's best-kept secrets until the whispers grew louder. Marlene, known for her wild lifestyle and at least 3 lovers a day, shared a unique bond with Garbo. They both were fiercely independent, with strikingly similar styles, whether in fashion, persona, or how they carried themselves in a world of constant scrutiny. Garbo's lifestyle was as intriguing as her on-screen roles. Her diet was as eccentric as her personality. She mostly lived on chicken, dried apricots, whole milk, brown beans, and biscuits. An old article from the 1930s even detailed Garbo's daily routine, which was a blend of discipline and indulgence. Breakfast was a bowl of cornflakes. Only Garbo would add several spoonfuls of jam inside and then pour herself a cup of coffee. After the meal, she would lock the jam away in her bedroom, perhaps to build up an appetite for the rest of the day. Following breakfast, Garbo would spend 30 minutes in a bathing suit on the terrace, doing vigorous Swedish calisthenics. Lunch was always served promptly at noon, usually consisting of raw carrots, sometimes yellow and red for variety. No salt was allowed on the table, and after lunch, Garbo would have tea with sandwiches, honey, jam, and cake. Dinner was lighter, only raw salad and fruit. By 8 o'clock, her day was done, and she went to bed. It was a routine of simplicity, discipline, and a touch of indulgence. Despite her reclusive nature, Garbo had several surprising hobbies and guilty pleasures. She loved the opera, enjoyed roller skating, and had a passion for tennis and swimming. A surprising detail about her was her fondness for ice cream, which was her guilty pleasure. Garbo also liked long walks, often in cemeteries, a pastime that many found odd but one she cherished deeply. The sea was another of her great loves, as she often spent time by the ocean. Garbo was also a fan of television, particularly soap operas and game shows. She was known to indulge in her love for General Hospital, Wheel of Fortune, and Jeopardy! The Hollywood Squares was another favorite of hers, offering a peek into a side of Garbo that fans might never have imagined. But perhaps the most surprising fact of all was her admiration for Michael Jackson. Garbo was said to gush over his music like a teenager, which is quite a contrast to the enigmatic, untouchable persona she projected in public. Born as Greta Lovisa Gustafsson on September 18, 1905, in Stockholm, Sweden, Greta's childhood was marked by hardship and uncertainty. Her parents, Anna and Carl Alfred, lived in a working-class district, struggling to make ends meet. Her mother worked at a jam factory, and her father was a laborer, trying his best to provide for the family. The family lived in a cramped, cold-water flat, a far cry from the glamour she would later experience. Greta was the youngest of 3 children, and their home, located in what was known as the city's slum, was filled with the tension of financial struggle. Garbo often recalled the difficult nights of her childhood, when her father would sit in a corner scribbling numbers on a newspaper, while her mother prepared ragged clothes, sighing with worry. She and her siblings would sit in silence, filled with anxiety, as if danger were in the air. It was eternally great, those long winter nights, Garbo later reflected. The darkness of the apartment and the gloom of their circumstances became unforgettable for Greta, leaving a mark on her sensitive soul. Despite the poverty, Garbo was a bright and imaginative child who dreamed of becoming an actress. She would direct her friends in amateur theater performances, showing a natural leadership and passion for drama. Yet she disliked school and preferred to be alone, and her lack of formal education contributed to an inferiority complex. In 1919, her father fell ill with the Spanish flu and lost his job, leaving Greta to care for him. She would take him to the hospital for weekly treatments, but tragically, he passed away when Greta was just 14 years old. Despite the challenges of her early years, Garbo was determined to make her dreams a reality. She got her start in the industry as a soap lather girl at a local barber shop. This humble beginning marked the start of her path to stardom, as she eventually became a fashion model. In 1920, Garbo appeared in her first commercial advertisement for women's clothing, catching the eye of director Eric Arthur, who cast her in his short comedy Peter the Great. Garbo further honed her craft by studying at the Royal Dramatic Training Academy in Stockholm from 1922 to 1924. By 1925, she made the bold move to Hollywood, invited by the famous director Moritz Stiller. Though she didn't speak English at the time, Garbo's raw talent could not be ignored. She arrived in New York with Stiller, and a Swedish friend in Los Angeles helped her secure a screen test with MGM's production boss, Irving Thalberg. He immediately saw her potential, and Garbo was soon molded into the starlet the world would come to know. With her striking looks, unique acting style, and mysterious allure, Garbo rose to become one of Hollywood's most iconic actresses. Films like Anna Christie, Grand Hotel, and Ninotchka solidified her as one of the biggest stars of the 1930s. Despite her Swedish accent, Garbo's powerful performances and intriguing characters captured the attention of audiences worldwide. Though Garbo was adored by fans, she was often considered difficult to work with. She had strict requirements on set, including prohibiting visitors and demanding black flats or screens to block out distractions. Her eccentric behavior only added to the mystique surrounding her. Hollywood also had a knack for building stars, and Garbo was no exception. The studios would often give actors new identities, making Garbo undergo physical transformations like losing weight and fixing her teeth to fit a particular image. Her career reached its peak in the 1930s, and Garbo amassed significant wealth. Her net worth at the height of her career was estimated at $5 million, roughly $82 to $90 million today. Despite her success, Garbo never won an Academy Award, though she received 3 nominations. Hollywood's most publicized starlet was also one of its most elusive, as she continued to shy away from the spotlight, even as she became an icon. Though Greta Garbo never married or had children, her love life has long been the subject of speculation. She lived much of her adult life alone, but her most famous romance was with her frequent co-star, John Gilbert. Their relationship was a highly publicized part of Garbo's life, but many believe their romance was not all it seemed. Some have even speculated that Gilbert was merely Garbo's beard, a cover for her true sexuality, as homosexuality was not openly accepted at the time. Their relationship, which started on-screen and continued off-screen, was complicated. Gilbert reportedly helped Garbo develop her acting skills, teaching her how to behave like a star and navigate Hollywood parties and studio politics. Despite this connection, Garbo was hesitant to commit to Gilbert. She was said to have been in love with him, but was terrified of losing control. Later in life, Garbo admitted she couldn't even remember what drew her to him. Many biographers and Hollywood insiders speculated that Garbo's relationships were not confined to men alone. It is believed that Garbo had intimate relationships with both women and men, and some have even suggested she was predominantly lesbian or bisexual. One of the key figures in Garbo's life was the silent film star Louise Brooks, who claimed that she and Garbo had a brief romantic liaison. Marlene Dietrich, another major figure in Hollywood, was also rumored to have had an affair with Garbo, but it was Garbo's relationship with writer Mercedes DaCosta that seemed to have left the most significant mark. In 1931, Garbo befriended DaCosta, a writer who openly identified as a lesbian. They shared a sporadic and volatile romance that lasted for nearly 30 years, during which they exchanged 181 letters, cards, and telegrams. Despite these relationships, Garbo, in many ways, remained a deeply private and reserved figure. Hollywood's conservative culture at the time, coupled with her hesitations, made it impossible for her to express her true self openly. Some biographers suggest that Garbo suffered from chronic depression throughout her life, possibly due to her inability to fully embrace her identity. While she never openly spoke about her sexuality, others like Marlene Dietrich were much more open about their personal lives, and Garbo's struggles with being true to herself became a defining challenge for her. Garbo's later years were marked by health struggles. In 1984, she was successfully treated for breast cancer, but she kept her condition largely private. Only her closest friends knew that she was undergoing dialysis treatments 3 times a week, Garbo passed away on April 15, 1990, at the age of 84, after complications from pneumonia and renal failure. Despite her reclusive nature in later life, Garbo left a lasting legacy in the world of cinema. She was honored with an honorary Oscar in 1954 for her unique and unforgettable contributions to film. Garbo's influence on Hollywood's golden age is undeniable, and her role in shaping the film industry's standards is still felt today. At the time of her death, Garbo's estate was valued at $32 million, which is equivalent to around $72 million in 2022. She left it all to her niece, ensuring that her family would continue to benefit from her success. Garbo's story is one of resilience, mystery, and transformation. From her humble beginnings in Sweden to becoming one of the greatest actresses of Hollywood's golden age, Garbo's legacy continues to captivate audiences. What do you think? Was Greta Garbo's desire for solitude and privacy the key to her mystique, or did it make her Hollywood career even more intriguing? If you want to dive deeper into more old Hollywood secrets and stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell for more exclusive content. Leave a comment below with your thoughts. Let's keep the conversation going.